Okay, rugby league side Salford Red Devils have been liquidated following a 1-minute HMRC court hearing. It brings an end to their 152-year history. Former Wigan winger and Sky Sports commentator Brian Carney joins me now for more on this. Brian, good to see you. Firstly, what was your reaction to this news?
Well, Hannah, it's mixed emotions very much. It's been a saga that's dragged on for the entirety of the 2025 season. Nobody comes out of this well. Not the taxpayer who loses money, not creditors who lose their money, not the fans, not the players, and not anybody that likes rugby league. It's a sorry state of affairs that has gone on for too long. Thankfully, there's probably some silver lining on this very dark cloud. I don't believe Salford as a rugby league club will disappear. The company, of course, has been liquidated, as you say, but I believe with the goodwill of the fans, and they've shown themselves in decent numbers this year, they will resurrect the club and Salford will compete in the championship next year. That doesn't mean, however, we should gloss over what has happened and what has got us to this sorry situation. There needs to be a deep inquiry into what went on. Has there been a lapse of governance? One would suggest absolutely. Due diligence and fit and proper persons test on this ownership group that have dragged the club in unsavory conditions throughout season 2025. How detailed was that? How in-depth was that? And what lessons can we learn? Some more good news. Bradford come back into Super League next year, as we know. That famous old club was liquidated, sadly, in 2017, again with some creditors losing money, but they resurrected themselves, built back up, and are now back in the Elite 11 competition. So for Salford fans, there is hope on the horizon.
We'll talk about a bit more about that hope shortly, Brian, but when you look at sort of the bigger picture and everything that did go wrong, is this a bit of a wake-up call, perhaps, for rugby league more widely?
Well, I'd understand why you would say that. Now, rugby league isn't the only one. Sports are immune from this. The most popular sport in the world is football. You see some recent difficulties at big clubs like Sheffield Wednesday. Of course, sports clubs, I mean, by their very nature, they struggle to make money. They spend many clubs spend more than they actually bring in. And that's the root of Salford's problems. But for rugby league, yes, absolutely. I understand the point that you're making. We're operating on much lower levels. And I think it's slightly less forgivable that we have clubs going into these situations and leaving fans, as you see now, protesting against what was the current ownership group before today's court decision. Look, rugby league, rugby union, football, all of the sports go through financial difficulties. What I would like to see is more robust governance, Hannah, that would maybe be able to see a little further down the line and take action to avoid things like this happening. The current ownership group, or what was the ownership group up until this morning, they're not the only ones culpable. This club spent beyond its means for many a year, and the chickens have certainly come home to roost.
You mentioned sort of the feeling of potential optimism and the fans that are still behind Salford as a unity. I mean, there's talk, isn't there, of them being resurrected as a sort of phoenix club and being able to fulfil their fixtures come the new season of the Championship. How feasible is that? Is that quite realistic that something could happen like that relatively quickly with when the season starts?
Yeah, I think so. I think they could probably get something together to get this. I know you're right. You're absolutely right. There's no players. There has been a fixture schedule put out that includes Salford, so a place has been made available for them. You saw tremendous goodwill last year when they went through so many difficulties with clubs loaning Salford players through summers to get to the Super League season. It's possible that they help them again to get established in the Championship. But what I will say on this, Hannah, is the club, this is another reminder to people. The club does not belong to the ownership group. It does not belong to oligarchs or to rich benefactors. It belongs ultimately to the fans. So when people get tired or people's money run out, the people left picking up the pieces, and that they do pick up the pieces, are the fans, the sporting fans of the club. And that's in evidence again today. The people that will be left holding what's left of Salford as a club will be the fans. They will last a lot longer, and this is applicable in any other sport, a lot longer than temporary ownership.